Hello, YouTube! This fall, the East Coast costuming contingent thought we should have an Edgar Allan Poe picnic, as we were all feeling rather dark and spooky. And in the process of making my outfit for this event, I came to the realization that I needed a ruffled petticoat for some volume. Okay, here's the plan for my Poe petticoat. We're going to do 4 ruffles that are 8 inches long, deep, long. I'm going to do 4 of them with a 5-inch gap at the top, so they'll overlap some. And I'm going to cut 2 skirt panels out of my 60-inch wide fabric and 4 panels per ruffle, so it'll be 200% fullness for the ruffles. So I just need to cut 16 strips and then seam them together and hem 16 strips of 60-inch wide fabric for ruffles. This was poor planning. Okay, so I started with this 100% cotton from Vogue Fabrics, and I began by ripping it into 9-inch strips for each of my tiers of ruffles. I needed 4 strips for every ruffle, which is a lot of ripping. To keep things organized, I tried to label everything. I cut 2 full-length panels for the base layer. To do this, measure your waist to the floor and add 3 inches for the hem and the drawstring. The next thing is to sew together 4 strips for every ruffle and press those seams open. Then I became best friends with my rolled hem foot, which was really an invaluable tool. After that, I folded up a 1/2-inch casing on the opposite side and stitched that down on the top of every ruffle. I found that rolling them helped keep them from being such a mess. Next, I sewed together the 2 panels for my base skirt, left an opening about 8 inches long at the top of one side seam to form the placket. I didn't end up needing a placket as I didn't end up putting a waistband on, but if you did put a waistband, you'd need this opening to get in and out of it. I pressed these seams open and then folded up my hem. I turned it up a 1/2 inch and ironed it, and then turned it up an additional inch and ironed that. And then shockingly, I sewed the hem down. This organdy takes a press really nicely, and I didn't actually found that I needed to pin it. So here I'm using my favorite clear quilting ruler and my favorite mechanical chalk pencil to mark parallel lines for where the ruffles are going to go. So they're going to be 8 inches away from each other. So I started with a line 8 inches from the bottom, and then 8 inches from that, and so on up the skirt till I had 4 parallel lines. So one at a time, I took my hemmed and casing made tiers, and I threaded on some sugar and cream quilting cotton yarn stuff. I've had it for a long time. I use it for all my cording projects. And I threaded through the channels. The first time I did this, I accidentally didn't measure enough and had to pull out and start over. And the second time I did it, it unthreaded itself from my needle. So it was not actually as easy a step as I thought it would be. It's kind of annoying. You'll see that I tied a giant knot in the end, and then I tie a knot onto the needle as well because it kept unthreading itself, which is only a pain when you're on the 3rd of 4 panels. Then I carefully lined up my ruffle on my petticoat base and pinned it in place. I matched up the side seams and the center of each panel with one of my ruffle seams to make sure that I had the quarters evenly distributed, and then just futzed with it until it looked right and was even and flat, and then I sewed it directly under that row of cording. So here you can see it after I've sewn the first ruffle on, and now we're just going to do the same process again and again and again. The most fiddly and the hardest part of this project is definitely pinning the ruffles on and getting them distributed evenly and laying nicely and pulling the gathering cord and then fighting them through the sewing machine. It's not hard, it's just fiddly. I did eventually turn it around. I found it easier to sew from one direction for the bottom ones and from the other direction for the top ruffles. I had originally planned on a waistband, and I could pretend that the reason I switched to a drawstring was for flexibility or making sure it sat lower on my hips like the 40s long waist requires. But in all honesty, I just ran out of steam and wanted the thing done. So I folded under 1/2 inch, stitched it, and threaded through some 1/4 inch grosgrain ribbon, and she was done. Overall, I'm very pleased with how this came out. The organdy has a lot of body and can practically stand up on its own. It gave a lovely full shape to my black silk gown for the Poe picnic and was light and comfortable to wear. So if you ever need a petticoat for an 1840s dress, I would highly recommend making a tiered ruffled one. But I would definitely invest in a rolled hem foot. I was really happy with how it looked under my 1840s dress. You can see here I'm wearing my corded petticoat, my tiered ruffled petticoat, a plain petticoat, and my dress. We had a lot of fun goofing off, and it was always nice to see friends, even if socially distant and wearing masks. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, click the like button, and tell me what you want to see in my next video. I was thinking about doing a whole series of making the petticoats I've neglected to make, and maybe my next one will be Edwardian. Thanks for watching. Bye!